Okay, welcome to All Things Apple. We're starting tonight's session with Joe Dietz. So, Joe, take it away.
Okay. Tonight we're going to talk a little bit about organizing the apps on your iPhone. This works also on your iPad. And the thing is, I see a lot of people doing, they're looking for an app and they switch pages. It's a one on this page and one on that page. And they got one photography app on this page and one on that page. And this page is full. So let me get into my phone here and then we'll talk about that just a minute. Share my screen. Okay, I guess everybody can see me there.
Yes, we can see it now.
Okay. Anyway, we want to talk about organizing, easy access, reducing the clutter, personalizing, and maybe even hiding some apps. So here's my home screen. And the first thing I'm going to do is swipe up. And I want to mention some couple things here first. These, of course, are your apps, and this is your home screen. On my home screen, I've got about 7 or 8 home screens. And if I swipe to the left on the home screen, you'll see another one and another one. I've got bunches and bunches of apps. So a lot of them are in, they're in places where I want them to be so I can have easy access to them. The first thing I want to talk a little bit about is moving your apps. And you see my screen here. One thing that I try to do is put apps like Pandora here, Keyring here, Chrome here, and a couple of things around the edges so I don't have to get in here and start looking for them. So I move things around a little bit, and let me show you how I do that. I'll take my finger and hold on the screen until my apps start wiggling. And you can see them wiggling there now. Once they start wiggling, then you can I'll pick up my settings and move it. Oop, got to do it on my phone. Move it down here. And now I've just changed the place. And you do this just to make it so it's more comfortable for your own use. So that is moving the apps. If you wanted to move an app to another page, the easiest way, there's several ways to do it, but the way I found is the easiest is to move the app down into this area, which is called the dock. And this, as I go from screen to screen, the dock stays the same. So I'm going to go back over here. And if I want to put my settings on a different screen, I'll drag it down here onto the dock. And then I'll swipe over and find another place to put it, maybe. And then I say I want it on this page. Then I just go ahead and drag it up like that. So that's moving your apps around. I'm going to put this one back because I don't want to lose it. That's a very important one. And swipe up and I'll put it, make them wiggle again and put it back exactly where I want it. Now, the next thing that I find is really important is nesting your apps. What I want to do is partially reduce the clutter and partially combine the apps that I know are similar. For example, you may have a dozen different photography apps, some on the first page and some on the third page and some on the fifth page. But if you make a nest, then they can all be right together. So what I'm going to do right now is an example. You see right here, I've got Google Chrome, and I've got Google Earth. They're all Google functions. So I'm going to press and hold right here to my apps wiggle. Once they start wiggling, I'm going to take this one and drag it right up on top of the other one. And then I'm going to go back here. I'm going to take this one, Google Earth, and put it in there. And now I'm going to tap on this, and I've got all things Google right here all together. Easy access. I've gone from 3 apps to 1 app or 1 folder where there are 3 apps. So that works very well. The other thing is, while you've got them wiggling, you can go up here to the top, and I don't want this called utilities. I want to call it Google. So I'm going to click on the X and drop that out. My keyboard's going to pop up, and I'm going to type Google. And then I'm going to say that I'm done right down here. And I'm going to quit everything from wiggling. And now I've got, make it stop wiggling. So now I've got all my Google apps right here. Anytime I want a Google app, I can double click on this. And then I can open whichever one I want. Anyway, that's a great way to save space and unclutter your system. Next thing I wanted to mention was deleting apps. How do you get rid of them? And I'm going to go up here. I'm going to make them wiggle first. And once I get them wiggling, I'm going to go up here to, I'm going to go over here on a different page. And I'm going to go, I have a Walgreens app right here. And I've decided I don't want that anymore, or any of your apps you don't want anymore. I'm going to press on the minus sign. And it gives me an option here of delete the app, or just remove it from the home screen, or cancel it. So in this case, I'm just go ahead and delete the app. It's going to give me a check here. Do you really want to do this? And I'm going to say delete. And you notice it disappears from my screen. So that is that part. Now, over a period of time, you may have a bunch of apps up here you decide you don't want anymore. And you've gotten rid of them. Then all of a sudden you decide, boy, I wish I had that app back. So there's a couple ways to do that. Go back to my home screen. I'm going to tap on the App Store. And once I'm in the App Store, I'm going to go up to the top of the screen and tap on my face. And then when I'm here, it shows me one line here that says purchased. And they use purchased in a broad term. It may mean you acquired a free one, or maybe you acquired one that you paid for. I'm going to tap on that. And over here, I've got all of my current apps. And over here are apps that I have deleted from my phone over a period of time. And I'm sure you've all done this. You find an app that you think you want, and then you start using it. I don't need this anymore. So it's really a good idea to go ahead and get those off your screen, get them off your phone, because you're just taking up your storage space. And then you can scroll down here, or if you know what the name of it is, you can type in here. And there it is, Walgreens. Once you see this as it is here, you'll see a cloud over here. And once I tap on that cloud, it's going to start downloading. You see how it's circling there. And once it gets all the way around, I can go ahead and open the app. And when I did this, now it's back on my phone. It may not be exactly where you want it, but you can go ahead and move those apps. And you know how to do that. So those are the things I wanted to talk about, really organizing, getting things in a way that makes it more convenient for you to use the apps on your phone. This is a tool. For me, it's my memory. Everything I have is in here. My addresses, contacts, and everything. They're all under different apps, and I need to have them be easy to find. So let me close this down. What I'd like to do now is, done with that, I'm going to go over to the chat room, and I'm going to and I want to find a message to everyone. Oh dear, where'd he go, Brookie?
It's under, chat. It's at the very bottom. Just
Oh,
scroll
to
down the
everyone.
bottom. Yeah,
But
everyone.
then where did I used to know how to do it?
At the very bottom, there's like 5 icons, and one's a piece of paper. At the very bottom, is it not showing up?
No, I'm not getting the piece of paper.
Okay, you've got like 5 icons. You have everyone, and then it says type message here.
Yeah.
And then under that, scroll up so you can see it maybe. Then you've got 5 icons.
I've got on the right, I've got the send arrow. To the left of it, I got the more sign for 3 dots.
Is that
and then
all
a
you
smiley.
got? Yeah. And then the next one. That one. The one next to the smiley. Click on that.
It just says to type a message. I'm missing it.
Okay, you don't have an icon next to the smiley face?
I have a T with a pencil.
Yeah.
That it?
No, it's the 4th one over. It's the 4th one over. A T with a pencil, then a square.
There isn't. Mine doesn't have any more.
Carrot, and it doesn't have a paper?
No.
Joe, did you upgrade Zoom?
Not too long ago, but it's been on there before. I'm just missing it right now.
Anything under more, Joe? Click on
under more. I've got who I can participate with.
Oh, you don't have file.
Now I've done this before, so I don't know where it went.
Yeah, yours looks different than what mine does.
Okay, well, why don't you go ahead and while you're all doing that, I'll see if I can figure out where this is, and then I'll share my notes with you.
Okay. So, Joe, before you stop sharing, are there any questions from people? Do you have any questions for Joe?
This is something that's kind of, what is yellow? You had an icon.
That's Schwann's
delivery.
Oh, okay. Schwann's changed their name.
Oh, really? I didn't know.
Don't ask me why. I don't do whys. I don't know. I couldn't figure it out either because everybody recognized Schwann's for what it is. And anyway, I think what I will do, Brookie, is just to go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and sign out and make sure I'm updated. And then I'll be right back.
Okay. All right. Quit sharing go ahead and quit sharing.
Okay.
Stop sharing. And then when you leave, don't end the meeting. Because you have the ability to end the meeting too.
Okay.
You need to stop sharing, not stop mirroring. Use your Zoom.
I've lost that window. Oh, okay, there it is. Got it.
Okay. All right. Good. All right. All right. So, Kurt, we're going to turn it over to you.
Do I have to?
Yeah.
I'm kidding. Joe did a good job. It's kind of hard to follow him.
That's right.
Apple released Sonoma version 14 of macOS in late September. And one person counted 175 changes. That many changes compared to the operating system that came before it. And we're going to start with number 1. No, I'm kidding. Let me share my screen with you first, if I can here. It's okay. It's okay. I know it's okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay. One of the biggest things, one of the biggest changes is that you can put for the first time widgets on your desktop. They've had widgets a long time. They're typically over here under your clock. If you click up on your clock and your date, you get your widgets that pop out. Well, these are different. You can actually run on your Mac for the first time widgets from your iPhone or your iPad, as long as the iPad or the iPhone are open. And you can also right-click on your screen, it's okay, Thea, and say edit widgets, and a little window pops up from the bottom and it shows you the categories, and yours will vary depending on what you have on your computer, all the little widgets that you can add. Now, some of them, like AccuWeather, you have to pay for them to get the widget. Well, I don't pay for them. But if you want to, you can. Batteries, if you're on a laptop, there's a widget that pops up that tells you how much juice you have left to run your laptop. Bing, the Microsoft search engine, is there. Brave, the browser that's built on the Google Chrome browser, just all kinds of stuff. Calendars of plenty, and if you want one, you just drag it over, put it anywhere you want on your desktop, and you keep going. I use Carrot for weather on my iPhone. And there are free or carrots that I pay for, and then there are carrots called Carrot Weather, and then there's some they want you to pay even more to get satellite radar. All kinds of clocks. You can personalize. I chose a world clock and I put it up here, and you can customize cities. I just happen to choose Honolulu, St. Louis, Edinburgh, Scotland, and Auckland, New Zealand to get a mix. You can put your contacts on your desktop, dictionary. I've got word of the day is mollycoddle. I can click on this. It'll give me the definition, mail, and on it goes. More calendars. And this varies depending on what apps you have on your computer or your iPhone or iPad.
So maybe I'm just seeing the mountainside.
Okay, you're not seeing the widgets?
No, I'm not seeing the widgets. I'm seeing at the very bottom a bunch of your apps at the
and the rest you just okay. Well, that's interesting.
Am I the only one seeing that? Can you all see what the apps the widgets he's talking about?
I can see the apps, but no widgets.
I don't.
I just see all down at the bottom.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those.
A beautiful picture.
Well, thank you. Well, pretend. No, I don't know.
We weren't pretending because your cursor was moving all around, and it was
because I'm going from one widget to another. Let me click on one, which is photos, Bowling Green from the 2021 aviation camp. Let me see if you can see this. When I click on it, it should open.
Okay.
Yep. So
It did.
It did.
And then it creates a slideshow automatically.
Oh, wow. You had a big group.
Takes the widget and it just builds a slideshow. You can build your own, but it takes them out of photos. Oh, this was a double rainbow I shot over one of the Bowling Green Krogers. This is the Jenny, the original wood plane that all the great early flyers learned to fly in. Amelia Earhart, Lindbergh, all of them.
Oh, wow.
This is an old Piper Cub. This is Bowman Field at Louisville for a camp there. Anyway, I'm going to close this. But that's that. You can't see that. I have that. I have a widget for Wikipedia, a widget for Firefox, the news app. I have health, top stories, weather, all kinds of stuff. But let's move on since you can't see that. Believe me, they're there. I'm going to open up Safari, and this is something new that I really like. I've always used Firefox for years, but I'm using Safari more and more. Can you see Safari? Okay.
Yes.
This happens to be a YouTube video that's frozen, that's on pause, but I'm going to create a new tab, new blank tab, and I want to, let me pull this down because, okay. Now I want to go to Wikipedia, and I'm going to say in the search blank for Wikipedia, Wikipedia Today, because I like their front page where it's kind of like, let's see. Well, I didn't do that right. Wikipedia Today. They just have like a cornucopia of news and current events and history. Okay, this is Wikipedia today right here. See, it's got featured article in the news. It's got history.
Can you make that bigger, Kurt? The text?
Oh,
Much
yeah.
better.
Yeah.
Margaret Elwyn Sparshot co-wrote a book in Swahili, and her daughter, pictured here, was responsible as matron for 22 hospitals in World War I.
Whoa.
Wow, 22 hospitals? I'm streaming Crimson Field from World War I. Oh my gosh. And it was on KET several years ago. What an incredible show. But anyway, see stuff like this. I love this stuff. Anyway. This antenna, the Holmdel horn antenna, is a large microwave horn antenna. I mean, I get into this kind of stuff, so I would want to save this. But I'm not going to bookmark it. With new Safari under Sonoma, which is the new Mac operating system, I'm going to go over to File on my menu bar, and I'm going to say Add to Dock. And I'm going to clean up the name. There's the website down below, but I'm going to clean this up and just say Wikipedia today, and I'm going to add it to my dock. And so now, anytime I want to use it when the computer's on, I can click here and it will open that website. It's just, I really like that. I'm going to go to CKCS, the newsletter. We pull this down. I'm going to go to the newsletter, ckcs.org, and I'm going to click on the newsletter. And I want to save this. So I'm going to go to File, Add to Dock, and it will only be this month's newsletter, but that's okay. CKCS, October newsletter, because I want to read it. Send it to my dock. And for some reason, it gives the letter H. I don't know why, but that probably will change and give it the CKCS logo after a while. But anyway, you can populate your dock with these things. You know, it's just really cool to be able to do that. There are so many changes. I wanted to show you a quick YouTube video. I'm not going to play the whole thing, but part of it, this guy does a good job showing you some of the changes, some of the additions.
By my count, there are more than 175 new features in macOS Sonoma. But here are the 10 that I think are the most important. First, we've got new desktop wallpapers, or is it screensavers? Well, Apple sometimes calls it one, sometimes the other, and they are kind of linked now. So when you go to System Settings, you can see wallpaper and screensaver, and notice that you can have a screensaver show as wallpaper and a wallpaper show as screensaver. The new ones, the ones everyone's talking about, are these aerial views here, high-resolution videos. You'll find familiar if you have an Apple TV. So if you select one of these, then it looks like this as your wallpaper or screensaver. So what happens is if you use one of these, notice here as a screensaver, it's moving. They're moving through the landscape. But if you exit the screensaver, it slows down and stops at a point, and that's now your wallpaper, which is really interesting because now you've got a slightly different wallpaper each time you wake your Mac up. Matter of fact, you can use these animations here, like the Sonoma one, in the same way. So here, this is going to animate, and now when I come out of the screensaver, it will stop, and I have a slightly different wallpaper than any other. I think probably the most useful new feature is going to be the desktop widgets. So we've had widgets before in the notification center, of course, but now you could actually add the same widgets to your desktop. So I can drag one, like let's say, strike the weather here. Let's add another one, like say reminders. And you can now have these on your desktop whenever you want. You can move them around. They kind of snap into place. They coexist with the one in Notification Center. And if you bring up another window, they'll fade to the background, although you have a setting in System Settings that allow you to keep them as full color or even interactive. So, for instance, in Reminders here, I could actually click on one of the items to complete it. You could even use iPhone widgets on your Mac desktop and Notification Center. long as your iPhone, of course, it's using the same Apple ID and it's nearby, you can have the widget from your iPhone appear on your Mac. You don't even have to have that app installed. It's actually taking that exact widget from your iPhone and just showing it on your Mac. So your iPhone's producing the widget and your Mac is actually displaying. Now, there's a couple new tricks in Safari that are really interesting. One is that you can now have multiple profiles. So we go into Safari settings, we go to profiles here, and you can start using profiles, create a new one. So I'll call this one called Work Social. And I can set a symbol for it, a color, and whether or not using the same bookmarks. And now I've got two windows here. One is in my personal profile and one's in my work social profile. So I can be logged into different sites for both of those. So this one could be my personal social media accounts, and this is my work social media accounts. Or you can do the same for shopping or anything else that you need to log into. It's kind of like having a private browsing window, but instead of it going away completely when you close the window, you can simply open up a new window and resume where you left off. It's like having two or more versions of Safari running at the same time. And in addition to that, you really can have more versions of Safari running using something called web apps. Now, web apps have been available in other browsers for a long time, but it's nice to have them in Safari. So for instance, I could go to a website like this one, and I would File, and then Add to Dock, and then I could change the name, the icon, and everything, add it. You can see it's now in the dock there, so I can quit Safari, and I could launch it from the dock, and now it's an app that has the name of that site, and the app is just a Safari browser, but only for this website and any related websites. If I click on a link to some other site, it'll open up in Safari like you're clicking on a link in, say, an email or in a document. Now, in preview, you've got your markup tools just like before, but you now have a separate set of tools for filling in forms. So all you want to do is fill in a form. You just use this instead. It shows you all the fields that you could fill in, provided, of course, the PDF has been created with those fields in it. And you can fill them in. You can even check boxes, and you can use a few other tools here like signing, and you can even add your own text field in case maybe there's some spot you want to write something where there's no field provided. In the Notes app, there's the ability now to link from note to note. So I can create a new note here, and if I wanted to create a link to another note, I can go to Edit and then Add Link, or Command K. Then I could link to and just start typing the name of a note to select it, and then I now have a link to that note. There's even shorthand for doing this. You just do the greater than symbol twice like that, and you can pick from a list of notes to link to. So you can link back and forth in notes, even creating your own little personal wikis in the Notes app. The Reminders app also has some new tricks. So if you create a new list here, you can now add sections to that list. So I'll just add some items here, and I can use this button here to add new sections. So I'll just use some test names here. I'll add another section, and I can easily add items in there or move my existing items to sections. In addition to that, if you were to create a new list and make it of the type groceries, this type of list allows you to add typical grocery items and will automatically create sections for them. So you can see what it did there. It just created that section, creates another section, and so on. And you can rearrange sections pretty easily as well. In the Photos app, people is now people and pets, or at least it is if you added a pet as a person. It now accepts the faces of dogs and cats to be able to add them to your people and pets section. So you would just go into your library here, find a picture that has one of your best friends in it, and you could easily add them just as you would any person from before. I'll find that picture added there, and you can go and review more photos. So you can add your pets just like people to this section. When typing now, you're going to notice a new type of suggestion, inline suggestions. So as you type something, watch as I see the little gray text appear, and then simply press the space bar to move on to the next word without having to complete typing it.
Okay, I'm going to stop this now and stop sharing my screen, but you kind of get the overview of what's going on there with some of the changes, and there's so many more, but that's using AI. They're using AI big time in all of their apps now on the phone, on the iPad, and on the Mac. When you start typing, there will be suggestions, and it's not like autofill or something. It's different. You hit your space bar and you get suggestions. So AI is being adopted full force, I guess. There are so many other changes. I sent everybody, I think there are 2 pages, maybe it's 1 page of links to YouTube and other websites showing some of the changes in Sonoma if you want to upgrade. Thank you. Anybody have any questions? Is it time to go to Jan's for supper?
Come on over.
Okay. Any questions for Kurt? Okay. All right. So then we'll move on.
May I interrupt a minute? If you look in your chat box, you'll find my notes about the presentation I did on organizing your apps. It's in the chat box.
Okay. So we've got 3 things in there. We've got Joe's and Kurt's, and I've added also how to add widgets to the iPad lock screen. All right. And that's what I'm going to go over now. So I will share my screen.
Excuse me, Brooke, it's Janet. I believe there's a question in chat for Kurt. Maybe he can answer that after your presentation.
I'm writing an answer right now so I don't interrupt. Brooke.
Okay.
Thank you, Janet.
Okay. Can you see it?
Yep.
All right. Problem is I can't see it. I mean, I see it, but. Okay. All right. So Kurt talked a little bit about widgets. And some people don't know really what they are. When they updated the iPad OS 17, they added the opportunity, the ability to add a widget to your lock screen, okay? And your lock screen is the screen that comes up when you wake up your iPad and before you put in your passcode. And it looks a little bit like that, okay? This actually is my notification screen, but it is also reflecting my lock screen, and we can do some customizing to our lock screen actually on the notification screen. But we'll talk a little. I'll walk you through that in a second. So you have your lock screen here, and what they said widgets are. According to Apple, it says widgets are a way to view current information at a glance, like today's headlines, weather, reminders, battery levels, and more. That doesn't tell a whole lot. The dictionary definition was an application or a component of an interface that enables a user to perform a function or access a service. That's kind of descriptive also. But I thought the best thing was to show you a lock screen here that have widgets, okay? So here I've put the calendar widget. And then I have coming up next widget. And I have the temperature, the weather widget. And under the weather widget, I've added what the forecast is. And then I've added Google Listen and Google Lens and medications, and then a reminder list. Okay, so there's a list of widgets that you can add to this side of your lock screen. Okay, so any questions at that point about widgets or what your lock screen is? Okay, all right. So the easiest way to add widgets is to go ahead and pull down your notification screen. And to pull down your notification screen, you're going to take your finger at the very top of your iPad and you're going to drag it down. And when you drag it down, a screen like this is going to come up. Of course, yours is going to be looking different, but you will have the date and you will have the time. That's kind of the default. Okay? So if you're there, then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to customize it. And to customize it, we're going to put our finger and just do a long press on this screen. And when we do that, it will get smaller and it will give us the opportunity to customize our lock screen. Okay, so once you're there, this is my current one, and it's actually a photo. But if I swipe from right to left, there is another lock screen that I have. Okay, and that lock screen is called Collections. Then I've made another one, and this is with a photo, and you notice it has some widgets over here. So you can actually customize any of these that you've already made, but we're going to go ahead to the very last screen, and that allows us to add a new screen, add a new lock screen. And to do that, we go down here and we tap the plus sign. And when we tap that, then it allows us to put in new wallpaper. All right. We're not going to spend much time on the wallpaper because that's another issue. But we do need to probably put some wallpaper in there before we start adding the widgets. All right. So you've got so many options here, all of these options, and then they go down and they kind of feature things from those different options. So here, featured ones, and there's a lot there, suggested photos, then weather and astronomy. I'm going to try weather, okay, just so you can kind of see that one. And that's really interesting. It shows what the current weather is in Lexington. All right, but we're going to go back. We're going to cancel that. I'm going to go up here and cancel that. And we want to make it just simple tonight so that you can follow the steps and then you can do it on your own and take time figuring out which ones you want. All right, so I want you to scroll down to the very bottom, which is just colors. So we're just going to do colors tonight. And I want you to pick one that does not have any widgets. This first one doesn't have any widgets. This one does have widgets. All right. And this one doesn't. So I'm just going to pick the first one right here to use as an example. And when you pick whichever one you want, whether it was a photo or it was astronomy or, you know, a collection, you will have these boxes come up. And the first box up here says Tuesday, October 17th. And you can actually change that widget. That's a widget. So when you tap it, you have the ability to choose your widget, like the next event, weather conditions, the time. I have actually the calendar. I like Tuesday, October 17th. I like having that on there. But you have all of these options where you could put in how many unread messages you have. So these are all little widgets. So you can change it to whatever you want or just keep it. And I will keep that one because I like that. I like having that up there. So I tap off of it and I'll go to the time and I'm going to tap the time. And when I tap the time, that's not supposed to come up. Let me go back. Okay, I think that was a glitch in the program because it shouldn't do that. Okay, I tap on the time, and when you tap on the time, you have the choice of deciding font for this little square right here. You have lots of choices. Okay, we'll go with that one just to be a little bit different. Then you can also increase the width of it or decrease the width. And then you also have a choice of colors. And if you go to this last color here, you have even more choices. You tap it. And I'm going to actually just choose black because I think it will show up. When you choose color for this widget, it is the color of all the widgets. Okay, you can't differentiate what the colors are. So I'm going to go with black just because I think they'll show up better. Okay, so that's what you can do in this box. Now, the other widgets come along this side, and you can only have this area for widgets. Once you've filled up this area and you try to add another widget, it's going to say, no, you have to remove a widget before you can add another one. So you have just a certain amount. Okay, so when I tap in this square right here, my widgets come up here. And then they kind of gave me a suggestion here. But then you have this whole list of possible widgets. All right. So I'm going to add batteries. And when that comes up, I have two choices. I have this square, or I can go over here and I can get a long skinny one. All right. So I'll go ahead and tap it. And it tells me right there, Brookie's iPad, 75% charge. I'm going to go down here because I like a calendar. And I have some choices here. I can have up next. I can have the date. I don't need the date because I already have that. But I do like to see the whole calendar. So I'll tap that and it will populate this area here. But I also like my next event. So I can add up either my next event. Let me see what the other one was back here. Up next. Okay, so it's looking ahead and giving me a couple of things that I have for tomorrow. So I'm going to add that one. Okay, so you can keep going down. If you'd like to have the news, you can add that. If you'll notice, the CNN one is just one option. I only have one option here. So if I tap it, it goes into that area. As I scroll down, the health one is interesting also. And that one is that it can tell you when your medications are due. I don't have that. It's part of your health app. I don't have any medications in there, but if you do, that might be a good one for you to add. And it tells you what your schedule is it reminds you of your schedule for your medicines. And we can keep going down. And I like to add reminders so that I can tap that and I can have different sizes. But I have a feeling I don't have much space left, so probably I'll have to go with the smaller one. So I'll tap that one. Okay. And let's say I go to the weather. And if I try to add a widget to it, it may go up here. It may go right there. Okay. But if I try to add another one, it says remove widget. You must remove a widget to add hourly. Okay. So that's how you add widgets to your lock page, your lock screen. All right. So when you do that, and you've decided what you wanted over here, then you go up to the top and you hit add. Once you hit add, it's wanting to know if you want to set it as a wallpaper pair, meaning the wallpaper on your lock screen and the wallpaper on your home screen. But I just want it on my lock screen. So I'm going to say, I'm going to customize my home screen. I'm going to tap that one. And then it takes me to my home screen and I can decide what I want that one to be. I like my home screen to be a solid color and I really prefer black. So I can go down here and tap color. And then I can do a long press on it, and these are the different colors that I could use, and I'm just going to pick black. And I'm going to hit done. Okay, so that will be my home screen, and then I will tap done here, and then that will be my other lock screen and home screen. Okay, now, depending on which one I want, I just stop at the one that I want, and let's say it's this one. Then when I go out of there, back to my home screen, I'm going to drag that screen down. It's your notification center, but it's also when you turn off when you put your iPad to sleep and you turn it back on, this is what will come up as your lock screen without the notifications. Well, sometimes with the notifications. But I can't do that or we'd be disconnected from Zoom. Okay. So here's that. And then when I go to my home screen, it's that one. Okay. Now let's say you've made one that you don't really like and you want to get rid of it. So what you do is you go ahead and put your finger back on that screen. It takes you to the customization screens. And let's say I want to get rid of the one I just made. Okay. I don't really like it. So I take my finger and I just slide up and it shows a trash can there. And you can just tap the trash can and you can delete that screen. Okay? Any questions?
I like your lock screen. You ought to sell it to Apple. It's one of the choices.
I'm afraid the dog might want a trademark. I've not gotten it. I've not yet royalties. I've not gotten signed yet. So, all right. So that's your lock screen. Okay. Any questions? I'll stop sharing. Okay.
I have a question. To get to that, you pull down from the top of the screen? Is that what you did to get into that? Okay.
Yeah.
And my iPad's too old, evidently, to do that. That must be this iOS 17?
It is. It's a new part of iOS 17. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. I think we've covered everything. If nobody has any more questions, I guess
just want to remind everybody about the info sheets that are in the chat box if you want to download some things we talked about today.
Okay. Kurt, any last words?
No. Thank you, everybody.
All right. Well, thank you all. Have a good evening.
Better weather tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's cold out there.
It is. Enjoy it. All right.